This is the first time ever that the leadership of as many sectors of our country have met to deliberate on a critical issue that has caught the imagination of the nation and will undoubtedly resonate beyond our borders. Our deliberations over the next 2 days are several years late in that, like everything else, our democracy has been continuously evolving, though with little collective reflection amongst the broad sections of our country's leadership. Had we paused earlier to reflect on how best to promote and maintain consensus within our evolving democracy, we may have avoided some of the recent distressing scenes that have played out dramatically, particularly in some of our metropolitan municipalities. Our government is keenly aware of the challenge of addressing such continuous issues as coalition building. Universally, every political party obviously desires to win and to govern. However, when an election produces no outright winner, parties are forced to enter into such partnership as coalitions to facilitate the effective oversight and conduct of public affairs. Whatever the configuration of governance, the electorate and the people as a whole expect from those who govern nothing less than the improvement of their material lives, a better future for themselves and their children, as well as guarantees for peace and security. Those who govern also owe accountability to the people at all times, for without accountability, the process of governance is compromised. Our political focus must unerringly remain on the well-being of our people. Our pursuit of national consensus on how to approach coalition government is a matter of national interest. Properly handled, it has the potential to bring the necessary stability, especially to the local government sphere, despite the intemperance we have witnessed in relation to coalitions. So, program directors, these dialogues therefore seek to promote fidelity to the national interest so that we remain focused on the fulfillment of our constitutional injunction, which is to build a united, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa. You will have seen our discussion paper, ladies and gentlemen, which is entitled A Policy Framework Towards Stable Governance. It makes the important point that, and I quote, coalitions are an unmistakable expression of choices that the electorate has made. It is democracy at work, close quote. But the paper also went on to recognize and identifies some problems and challenges, particularly in the local sphere of government. Amongst them, it says lack of skills, inadequate revenue, indifference from both administrators and politicians, and the substitution of the public good with self-interest. The document also makes an important point whose nuances must be kept in mind throughout our discussions this weekend. Whereas it asserts a direct correlation between the constant collapse of municipalities or municipal executives and them being coalition governments. It also cautions that the correlation does not imply causality, that is, coalitions can trigger collapses in that both the coalitions and their turbulences have separate triggers, albeit some of them interrelated. Ladies and gentlemen, the frequent collapse of coalitions that we've witnessed at local government level sometimes is deliberate, sometimes even unrelated to the pursuit of the public good, and can be minimized down to a healthy level with little detrimental effect on municipal administrations. Other distressing problems the document identified with our recent coalition experience at local government level, and particularly the country's major metropolitan municipalities, include the following: opportunistic behavior, or this sometimes is enabled by institutional loopholes, the lack of a threshold for the admissibility of a motion of no confidence, and the vulgarization and procedurization of the process that are not related to considerations of ethics or competence, the monetization of votes and seats in municipal governance, patronage, rent-seeking, etc., but also power play and relevance, ganging up against incumbents. These are the challenges we need to address. Our document therefore says, amongst others, career politicians without any prospects of employment elsewhere face a constant risk of job insecurity. This is no minor matter. It is closely related to a broader socio-logical characteristic of the South African society, which manifests the continued racial imbalance in the distribution of opportunities, particularly wealth, but poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Fellow delegates, it is also exacerbated by an economy that has not grown sufficiently over the years to absorb greater numbers of job seekers. Let me briefly observe what Ben Oki said, because I think this will serve us even better as we get into this dialogue. And he said, "We dream of a new politics that will renew the world. Under their wary, suspicious gaze, there's always a new way, a better way that's not been tried before." Close quote. This is crucial because the membership and support base of political parties are dreamers in as much as they are carriers of political outlooks, messages which in their turn shape the nation's political thinkings, ways of seeing and doing politics with profound implications for its future prospects. Program directors, I'm suggesting that our social structure and its economics are central to all our endeavors, with or without coalitions in any sphere of our government, but most especially because of coalitions, South Africa requires a growing economy which creates opportunities for the people beyond the political sphere. As an ending dividend of freedom, such an economy will be a factor in social and political stability, state and nation building, all of which can elude us if the economy fails. We must salute the work done by a number of institutions, some of them are here this morning, on how to improve and stabilize coalition governments, particularly at the local level. The government has contributed some proposals in this regard and are covered in our framework document. One of them, first one, commitment to a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous society. Coalition government based on the actual votes received by each party. Commitment to Batupele principles, putting people first. Working towards poverty eradication through a growing and inclusive economy. And also, last but not least, good governance and zero tolerance for corruption. Program directors, this is an open process in which everyone is free to make proposals. We intend to synthesize proposals from as many South Africans as possible and to present this in the coming months as a framework for consideration which may end up in legislation. In many respects, we are fortunate that we may be the generation in our evolving democracy that co-creates and designs resilient solutions to our political architecture. Coalitions must therefore give us the possibility to consolidate national efforts to create a truly substantive democracy that is based on the will of the people.